Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are back with another episode of Daily Palantir, and on today's episode, we're doing two big things. Number one, we're recapping everything from AIP Con. I didn't get to do this video last week, so we're going to be recapping all the events, all the presentations, the main ones that really mattered, and the last presentation, which basically signaled what to me is going to be hyper growth for Palantir, particularly in regards to their boot camps, which will lead to customers, which will lead to top-line revenue growth throughout the next couple of years, what their strategy is, how they're presenting it. I want to talk about all that, break that down. I want to talk about the Panasonic mixed reality presentation, a bunch of things to discuss from AIP Con. So we're going to talk about that. And number two, the way we're going to talk about it is by me finally introducing the latest product that I've been working on for the past 5 months. It is a product that is particular to the Palantir community. It's a really cool piece of software. We're going to use it to actually analyze all the stuff going on at AIP Con, and I think you guys will enjoy it. Let's get into it. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is explain why I built this software. I have the sickest domain name, and I think you guys will enjoy it, and why I think this software is actually going to be one of the cooler things that exists for stock communities, in this case Palantir, on the internet. Here we go, Hobbits.ai. It is here, and we are officially live. Hobbits, obviously, if you're in the Palantir world, you know what Hobbits are. Lord of the Rings analogy there. And .ai. GoDaddy charged me an arm and a leg to get this .ai username, but I was able to get it. What is Hobbits AI? Hobbits AI is a custom LLM trained on 20 million words of my content over the past 3 years when it comes to Palantir. Now, why did I build this? I had a long Twitter post, and I'll put that in the chat. You guys can read through everything. I'll put it in the description. The main reason for this was because, ironically, 2 years ago around March, I started DailyPalantir.com. And when I started DailyPalantir.com, the whole idea was, all right, can I actually build out a blog covering Palantir every single day? And what I realized is that when you're doing textual data, when you're typing stuff up, it's just really boring to read an article. It's not that exciting, it's not that interactive, and the articles get lost, and it's just not that fun. On top of that, I have 3 years filled with YouTube content that YouTube's not going to show the video I did on Project Maven, even though it's incredibly relevant today, especially because we just got the Project Titan contract, because YouTube's an algorithmic feed, and one video has maybe 24 hours to live, and then that video dies in the ocean that is YouTube. And then on top of that, you really can't monetize a blog, YouTube, unless you're putting up Meet Kevin level of numbers and I have a very niche community. We're just not getting paid a lot of money. So I thought, 2 questions. How could I actually monetize in a way that was not, hey, come join my Discord or Patreon or my course? How could I provide a product to people that's actually useful, that's targeted in the niche, which my niche is Palantir investors. It's the content I've been making for the past 3 years. And also, how can I make it so dirt cheap that someone doesn't care about paying $40 a year? That's $350 a month. It's something that's so cheap, but the product is so useful to them, even if they only use it once a month, once a week. I think the power users that I'm seeing in my analytics are using it every day. It wouldn't be something that breaks the bank. A lot of people have also been asking, hey, how can I support the channel? How can I give back to you? You've been helping me out a lot over the past couple of years. So what I decided to do was take all the videos I've trained, or all the videos I've spoken over the past 3 years, train a custom LLM based on all that data, every last thing you could think about when it comes to Palantir. Take all of Palantir's public data, all the stuff that's out there, SEC filings, earnings reports, Alex Karp's interviews, all that stuff, and make Hobbits.ai. What I think the macro vision for Hobbits will be is Palantir investors that discover Palantir, I believe, will eventually discover me, just given the content that I put out there, and hopefully the content stays valuable enough over the next decade. While those people are discovering my content, if they want to actually not only support the channel, but get more out of my content, besides just watching videos, what if you could interact with the content? Watching a video is cool, reading a blog is cool, but it's not as interactive as actually asking a custom AI the questions you want to know about Palantir, questions that are analyze Q3, Q4 earnings, tell me about their patents, what are they doing in South Korea, why is Alex Karp speaking at this conference in Switzerland next week? All of these interesting questions that you would typically go to Google or Bing to be able to get some article that answers those questions. What if it could just be in one custom LLM? And that's what I built. The idea here is really simple. I'm going to be training this LLM on custom data every single day. So if you buy a subscription to this product, you do get 10 free messages. It is $42.69 a year. I think it's super cheap. And there is a cost to train and inference the data. So we do have to charge for it in order for us to be able to run it smoothly. But it's getting updated every day. And as it's getting updated every day, the questions that you want to ask, what are the recent price targets at? It's just going to be, I think, the most significant resource for Palantir investors in the community when they discover it. And for less than the cost of 2 Palantir shares a year, I think it's cheap enough for people to actually use it and hopefully not break their bank and not be some crazy thing that they have to spend on this, but to get a lot more resources and information on Palantir. So that's the nature of the product. That's why I built it. We've already had 400 people sign up over the past weekend when we launched it on Friday. So thank you to everyone who signed up. Even if you don't want to pay for it, you can definitely sign up, play with it. 10 different messages. You can sign up with multiple emails and get more free messages. But at the end of the day, it does support the channel, and it is I think the perfect way to monetize. You don't have to charge some Patreon, some course. You could just give people a product they could use. And I think when you play with it, if you're a Palantir investor, even if you only use it once a month or once a quarter, which I think you're going to use it a lot more than that if you actually pay for it, and every week you have any questions, you just remember, it's like a gut reaction now. I just go to Hobbits and I ask questions. It's really fun to be able to use, and I think you guys will enjoy it. So, Palantir's AIP Con. This was a pretty exciting conference. Now, why was it an exciting conference? There were a bunch of different companies presenting, and those companies in the presentations weren't like crazy demos, but we did get hints and tidbits of companies and how they're using AIP, why they're using it, and ultimately the use cases they're getting off of it, which is what I think Wall Street cares about. They care about the use cases. Dan Ives upgraded us to $35 after we got the Titan contract. Bank of America, Mariana upgraded us to $28. So there's obviously really good positive sentiment in the context of Palantir. Right now it's at like $25.80, but the fact that even we're at $25 and we hit $27.50 is just amazing momentum and sentiment for Palantir. Two presentations uniquely stood out to me. And what we're going to do right now is we're going to use the product, we're going to use Hobbits, to be able to figure out what happened in those presentations. So this is what the interface looks like. There's two main presentations I want to focus on. One is about their product. The other one is about their go-to-market strategy. And let's ask this first question. How is Panasonic using the mixed reality product from Palantir they disclosed at AIPCon? Now, Hobbits is trained on all the data, so it's going to be able to give me the right answer about this. While it's actually getting this answer, the one thing I want to say here about mixed reality is that all of us thought this was going to be a defense product. All of us thought this was going to be purely based on like how they work on the battlefield. So if we look right here on Palantir's Twitter, they tweeted a picture of the Apple Vision Pro being used right here with Panasonic, and Panasonic gave a whole presentation on how they're using it. So it seems like the use case for mixed reality and the product that mixed reality looks like is not just going to be on the defense and battlefield. It's going to be in commercial applications, which is so exciting because that means there's another stream of revenue for Palantir outside of the defense space in the commercial sector, and that enterprise commercial sector that gets a piece of mixed reality and the software that it needs to integrate it via whatever headset, whether it's Vision Pro or Quest, could be a reasonable stream of business for Palantir as mixed reality becomes more important. So let's read a little bit about what Hobbit said. The use of mixed reality in Panasonic's operations is aimed at conquering tribal knowledge, which refers to the implicit knowledge that is often held by an experienced employee, but not formally documented. By leveraging Palantir's mixed reality tools, Panasonic can capture this valuable knowledge and make it accessible to a wider range of employees, thus improving training, maintenance, and operational efficiency. In the context of Panasonic Energy, the application of mixed reality technology is especially relevant for equipment repairs and maintenance, and that's basically what we saw the demo of at AIPCon. As a senior manager for maintenance oversees a significant portion of equipment repairs, the integration of mixed reality can streamline processes, reduce downtime, and enhance the precision of maintenance tasks. This technology allows for more interactive and immersive training experiences for staff, which can lead to better retention for complex procedures and improved performance on the floor. And then it gives you a 5 bullet point summary for the question itself and for how Panasonic is using Palantir. So that's kind of what the product looks like, right? And that's why I think the product is actually really important, because it's getting updated every day. And so if you were curious, hey, like, instead of reading this article on Panasonic using Palantir, instead of trying to find like exactly how Panasonic works with Palantir by going through a bunch of different articles or videos, you can just ask an LLM that's not just trained on the Panasonic presentation. It's trained on years of us talking about Panasonic. It goes back a couple years ago when Palantir and Panasonic started working together, and all of that context kind of fine tunes the model to be able to give you the right answer. So now in the context of AIPCon, why is this so important? Two things for Panasonic. Number one, we've started working with them over the past couple of years, and particularly we're working with them in the Sparks, Nevada factory, and in 2025, the Wichita, Kansas factory, which are both smart factories. Panasonic makes the batteries for Tesla. So the correlation between Palantir and Tesla has always been kind of this middle Panasonic that's here, because if Palantir can make Panasonic more effective and more efficient, obviously Panasonic can make more batteries, make them in a way that streamlines their processes, and that ultimately helps Tesla. So what's really exciting here is that if Panasonic, which is a very big company, is like, hey, we want to embrace mixed reality, and we want to figure out how we can integrate data coming which is what they call tribal knowledge, that exists inside of our employees and in their minds and in our databases. And we want to extract insights from that data in a meaningful way, especially when we're doing repairs and we're out on the factories and we're trying to integrate all that data to be able to streamline different operational tasks that they're doing. Yeah, we see a use case for headsets, but we can't just put on the Apple Vision Pro or the Meta Quest or the Microsoft HoloLens and just like hopefully we can download some apps on the App Store and then we can get the job done. No, we need an actual piece of software here. And so what I think this is creating for in the context of Palantir is a whole nother avenue of income, a whole nother avenue of revenue, because now Palantir can try to sell a mixed reality product to smart enterprises that particularly need it on not the battlefield when it comes to defense, but on their own factories. And then boom, you've got all this momentum in the mixed reality space that's not even based on the consumer. So Apple's Vision Pro, I don't know about you, but the hype has pretty much died out. People are returning it. It's not that exciting. You know, the people that I know are that have it, they're not using it every day. Some of the people that loved it for the first 2 weeks, now they can't, like they just don't have a use case for it. So the consumer application of it is not going to be that exciting until they get it to Gen 2, Gen 3. They really make it better. Like it's just going to take time. $4,000 is too much to pay. But the enterprise version of it might be where the money is. Like the real money. And so if enterprises are like, hey, we can use this mixed reality stuff, it can make our engineers more efficient and better, but we need software to actually be able to make it make sense. And you got Palantir offering mixed reality software, which I haven't seen. I know Microsoft has their HoloLens and their own software, but I haven't really seen a full end-to-end system that is integrated with mixed reality. Remember, this is kind of Palantir's motive. They build these products for defense, and then they take it to the commercial side. We've saw IC2, their mixed reality product, used on the battlefield in multiple videos over the past couple of months. And now it looks like they're extracting the insights from building it for the government and seeing what they can do for commercial, which is what Palantir does best. So I thought that in and of itself was an incredible presentation at AIP Con. Highly recommend people watch it. And it goes to show you what the product at Palantir can look like in regards to mixed reality, but also how quick they are to innovate and be able to adapt and build more products when it comes to making sure that companies actually get better and more effective based on Palantir software. Now, the last presentation that was at Palantir's AIP Con was also really exciting. Basically, and we're going to use Hobbits again to kind of give you the summary on this, Jack Dobbs, one of the engineers at Palantir, gave a presentation on how Palantir is going to hyperscale their boot camps. And the idea was building their own internal AIP trained on hundreds and hundreds of boot camps and all the workflows and everything that they've taught their clients, to be able to essentially build an outsourced version of a forward deployed engineer, which is what Karp has been saying is the bottleneck to be able to scale these boot camps, because it's not about money. It's about how many forward deployed engineers can we send all across the world to be able to conduct these boot camps, because you actually have to be there to help people show how the software is working. What if clients could have access to this version of AIP and then be able to ask it questions and be able to learn how to interact with their own data and run their own boot camps internally? And what if customers could run mini boot camps for other potential customers, other vendors that are in their supply chain, to be able to get hooked onto Palantir's AIP? So for example, General Mills, one of the companies that was presenting, they're a cereal company. What if someone from that cereal company could run a boot camp for all of their cereal vendors on how to make their supply chains more efficient? And then those vendors buy Palantir AIP, they become customers. Their supply chains become more efficient. Their logistics become more efficient in regards to delivering the actual cereal to General Mills. And then General Mills becomes more efficient because if they have better supply chains, better vendors, better subcontractors, they can sell more cereal. Their revenues can go up, their costs can go down, which is the whole promise of AI. So let's pull up what I asked Hobbits about when it comes to Jack Dobson's presentation. So Jack Dobson, one of the Palantir engineers, I asked, how did Jack Dobson talk about scaling Palantir boot camps at AIP Con 3? He was the person who gave that final presentation, and then it kind of gives me an overview of what Dobson just talked about, how we have to focus on LLM-shaped problems. We can't just use generative AI everywhere, and the value of boot camps to clients on a sort of high level and why it's so important. They did 850 boot camps, all that good stuff. Then I said, how is Palantir going to scale their boot camps based on the internal AIP they have built, which is what Dobson said. They built their own version of AIP that they've trained it on hundreds of boot camps they've done, and that version of AIP can be outsourced to basically replace, to some extent, a forward deployed engineer. And then, as you can see, the model starts to tell me that Palantir has a core data asset within the AIP. They have their own internal AIP, which is central to the bootcamp experience. It handles a ton of volumes of data from other boot camps that they've done. And then it puts all that together within their logic and data pipeline capabilities. And then boom, there you go. You have a modular design that allows Palantir to replicate boot camp experiences across different regions and sectors, facilitating global scaling, which is really, really important. If companies across the world, vendors across the world, subcontractors across the entire world can use an outsourced version of AIP and can have that version of AIP essentially do what a bootcamp experience would be like, and they can ask it questions and use and get real answers based upon all the data that has been trained before. So for example, if you're a battery company and you want to know how Panasonic's using AIP, you can use the internal AIP that Palantir has built. That's what they talked about at the end of the presentation, and ask it questions and try to get information on how Panasonic is using it, which pseudo replaces the need to have a forward deployed engineer kind of walk you through it, at least for the beginning introductory stage. And then obviously you're going to want to talk to Palantir more seriously if you're interested in procuring the software. What does that mean for investors? That means hyperscale. What that means to me is you've got 850 boot camps already. This started back in June. I would imagine that's going to start growing at 10 to 20% month over month in terms of the scale of deployment of boot camps. And then on top of that, this internal AIP they built, that's going to have other customers do boot camps for other vendors that they have, which is going to hyperscale the boot camps, right? So it's not just Palantir putting on the boot camps, it's their customers putting on the boot camps. Now, people have said, well, what's the incentive for people to put on those boot camps if, there's competitors in the industry? The way I think of AIP is that there's a network effect. So if AT&T, Verizon are very intense competitors in the Fortune 500 world, so it's not the best example, but if AT&T is getting a ton of value from Palantir software and Verizon can add all the different problems they're having that they're using AI to be able to address, you've got two powerhouses feeding all this data into, this is essentially what Skywise is, right? In the context of Airbus and United and Southwest, all these different airlines that use Palantir. You've got all this data being fed into this one network, and now Palantir has all these different use cases of, hey, AT&T is having this problem in this location. Verizon had a very similar problem, not the exact problem, but a similar problem in a different location that might make a lot of sense here. Here's how Verizon resolved it. Here's how AT&T can resolve it. And then that gives AT&T more data, more R&D to be able to figure out, hey, how do we solve this problem? Well, this is what Verizon did. This is what we can do. And it's the same exact thing for Skywise. It's the same exact thing for the shipyard manufacturing software that Palantir is building in conjunction with Hyundai Heavy Industries. Now, Verizon and AT&T are much more intense competitors. They're probably not using Palantir together. I think Palantir is actually working with AT&T. But the point is, when you have competitors in an industry working together in regards to scaling AI-enabled solutions, the overall TAM and pie is getting bigger, even if their specific use cases are different. So I think there is a big incentive for customers to be able to help other competitors, or if not even helping competitors, help other vendors in their industry to be able to make their supply chains more effective, or to be able to make their operations more effective, or in general, just so that they can introduce other people to AI-enabled infrastructure for the enterprise, which is going to overall help you in whatever single industry you're in. Again, if XYZ company you work with is using Palantir, even if they're slightly competitive with you, if you're using Palantir and it's really transforming your business and these guys can transform their businesses and you're relying on these guys to an extent, even in a competitive sense, that's going to overall help everybody, which seems to be the network effect that Palantir is building here when it comes to scaling AIP. All right, that's it for me. AIPCon was incredible. Dan Ives, $35 price target. Bank of America, $28 price target. I think Palantir really showed that the use cases for AIP are becoming big. There's going to be more customers. There's going to be more clients. There's going to be more top line revenue growth, even if not in Q1. Will probably happen this year, hopefully by the end of the year at the latest. And it's going to be exciting to see Palantir put up those numbers. Hobbits.ai, definitely check it out. If anyone wanted to support the channel, it's $40 a year. Really helps it out the channel, really allows this channel to keep going. And I think it's a really fun product as you get in there in the nitty gritty and start asking it questions and get a bunch of answers. And I think you'll enjoy as you use it in real time, and you get 10 free messages as soon as you sign up to check it out. Link will be in the description and in the comments. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow on another episode of Daily Palantir.